Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. JLR investigates. Come on in, folks. This guy's in big trouble with the law. Mark Ball, his name is. We're going to talk about this individual. He was claiming he had a bomb in his bag and he was walking around the French Quarter on Saturday. He got arrested. What in the world is going on here, people? A bunch of people around the country in the last 72 hours have been arrested for numerous very disturbing incidents, like this guy right here. We're going to put this guy's face out there. We're going to talk about this guy, considering what happened recently in New Orleans on New Year's. This guy, we got another guy. This is the same guy here. This guy here is I can't even explain how much trouble this guy's been in trouble with the law. And he was at a store in New Orleans and he claimed he had a bomb in his bag. Whack stuff. Then you got these guys. You got a bunch of people from New Mexico that were going to plot a shooting. We have an individual that got arrested in South Florida for having a bunch of... he pretended he was a CIA operative and he had a bunch of weapons in his vehicle. We have another incident that happened, yet to be identified, individual that got arrested on the at Penn Station, dealing with Penn Station Newark on the way to Virginia, who had a bunch of weapons in a bag. A lot of wacky stuff going on, but we cover true crime 24/7, 365 on JLR Investigates. Come on in, and I'm eventually going to bring Magnolia in the chat, and we're going to talk about the last two individuals, Livelsberger and Jabbar, the New Year's Day individuals. Military records have come out on those individuals. They both served at Fort Bragg. Very interesting stuff that we're going to talk about. So good morning, everyone. January 6th, 2025. And we got our eyes on Washington, D.C. They got a lot of snow in the Midwest into the Mid-Atlantic last night. So if you are buried with snow, our thoughts and prayers are with you. A lot of snow, about 6 inches of snow have fallen in Washington, D.C. As you know, today is the certification of the election. All eyes are on Washington, D.C. in reference to crimes, cyber terrorism, National Guard, inauguration, snow, all that stuff. Right? So everything is in Washington, D.C. Right now, we are paying attention, and then the inauguration happens in a few more weeks. But who in the heck is this guy right here? Who is this guy right here? 61-year-old Mark Milton Ball. Mark Ball. Not much information out on him, but it says a man arrested after making bomb threat in French Quarter, New Orleans police say. I'm the only one. I'm the only one out there that you will see a picture to the arrest. You see a few articles out there on this guy's arrest. I had to do an extensive deep dive on this guy. I had to do some sleuthing to find out who this guy is, because there's a lot of Mark Balls out there. There's a lot of Mark Balls. And the first thing I did was, search databases in Louisiana. I'm like, where is this Mark Ball? And there was none in Louisiana. So I'm like, oh, an outsider. Oh, somebody from the outside coming into New Orleans making bomb threats. Who is this guy, right? So I had to go dig around. I went to the Orleans Parish. I got his date of birth in the Orleans Parish booking records, right? Born in 63, July 63. And then I had to start doing cross-references. And lo and behold, oh my God, this guy's been in trouble all across the country. We're talking about making threats, thefts, burglaries, violations of probation, absconding, fugitive warrants, all over the place with this mystery man here. This mystery guy, this is a very bizarre, this gives me like the, you ever watch the movie The Professional with the sunglasses, the movie The Professional? This guy gets like creepy, like terrorist type of vibes here in this. I don't understand why they let him take a mugshot wearing sunglasses. Yes, a complete wackadoodle, but there could be more of this, or it could be nothing of nothing. I'll let you decide off the limited information. Somebody's in New Orleans just days after a terrible, terrible terrorist attack happens, and then he's claiming he had a bomb in his bag. That's what he's claiming. Now, it ended up, they look in his bag and there's nothing there. But What does that tell you? Does this guy have mental illness? Does that tell you that there's something else going on? Or was he just talking crap because he was busted maybe shoplifting? Shoplifting, kind of similar to the other day when we covered that I-85 bomber on the interstate that didn't have tags on his plate when he was in Greenville, South Carolina. Remember that guy, the guy that's in the country illegally? Well, that guy, instead of just taking the ticket for not having plates, he goes on to say, I have a bomb. I have a bomb on my vehicle. And then, boom, what do? They shut down the interstate, both lanes between exit 42, 40, 42, 46, and shut down the entire interstate for a 4-hour span, right? You got one of these people again that just get caught doing something red-handed, and instead of just taking responsibility for basically what he did, apparently he could have been shoplifting on Royal Street, the 100 block of Royal Street near Canal, French Quarter. Because when you do this type of stuff, you have to shut everything down. You got to secure the scene. Everyone's panicking. Everyone's on edge. These hoaxes are ridiculous. Who is this guy? So, a man arrested on Saturday after falsely claiming. Now, I'm reading this article. Look, I'm going to read the article to show you the source. Here's the source. This is coming from Nolo.com. Nolo.com. They don't put a face to the article. I do. We go deeper dive. Look at that guy. We do a deeper dive. All right, so it's just basically saying it's man arrested after making false bomb threat in French Quarter, New Orleans police say. New Orleans is also kind of like a transient type of travel town, too. A lot of people from around the country end up flocking to New Orleans and staying there and visit passing through. So he was at the French Quarter on Saturday. An employee observed Mark Ball, 61. They say 62. He's 61, according to booking records. Attempting to steal items from a store at the 100 block of Royal Street near Canal on Saturday afternoon. The store was not identified. So it goes on to say, after the employees approached Ball, he then told them he had a bomb in his bag. He had a bomb in his bag, according to the New Orleans Police Department. Ball was arrested and booked into the Orleans Parish jail on counts of theft and communication false arson information. Hoax. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe there's more to it. Maybe he's an accomplice to Shamsud-Din Jabbar. I don't know. Where was he staying? Where was he living? Because his booking records does not list an address, though he has from Florida, Pennsylvania, and Texas. Got a lot of arrest records in South Florida. He was booked into the jail 9:37 p.m. on Saturday. The false bomb threat comes as the city is on high alert in the days after Shamsud-Din Jabbar placed pipe bombs in a pair of ice chests on Bourbon Street, not far from where this location is here. Then drove a truck through the crowd. So, who is this guy? What do we know? I'm going to share this, and then we're going to jump to the next man because there's other people we need to talk about. But this guy here, also, folks, military bases are on high edge and high alert, by the way. I don't know if you guys heard, but the military bases have been sending out alerts to all their people saying that they're going to do like more security protocol and this and that and the other. So Mark Ball, here he is. What has he been in trouble for? Well, he's been in trouble in the past for numerous crimes. Here we go. 1999, December 28th, a day after my birthday, driving vehicle in unsafe conditions, St. Lucie County, Florida. Something with 20 grams. I guess that would be drug charges. Yeah, I think it would be drug charges. Oh, Pennsylvania. Theft by deception. False impression. Oh, yeah, so he's a thief in Pennsylvania, too. Oh, Pennsylvania. Theft by deception. Driving under the influence. Unauthorized access to device. Yep, I thought so. Oh, Orleans Parish. Mark M. Bell. Theft. Possession of stolen things. Yeah, he's a criminal. Theft. Criminal trespass. Orleans Parish. Mark Ball. It just keeps going. Theft. 2006, Orleans Parish. Oh, yeah, criminal trespass. Criminal trespass. Criminal trespass. Is there more? Oh, look at this. Department of Corrections, Florida. Burglary, tools, possession, attempt burglary, dwelling, burglary, burglary, burglary. Yeah, this guy's a professional rascal, Jonathan. Love your name, Jonathan. As I always say, Jonathan, appreciate the comment. He's a rascal. A guy that's been in trouble before. Oh, look at this. I forgot. Probation violation. Don't forget. He's a probation violation guy. Probation violation. Quite an impressive resume, right? Quite an impressive resume. What else does he have? Oh, criminal mischief. Theft by unlawful taking, 2011. So he's been in trouble, in the last, at least since the 90s. Here's another one. Here's another, and his name is Mark Milton Ball. Oh, he's a bad hombre. He's a bad dude. Mark Milton Ball, arrested. So he's been in trouble for a lot of stuff. Who is this guy? Oh, don't forget, Harris County, Texas. Oh, don't forget. Jonathan Avery, thank you for the comment. Go JLR Magnolia, great investigative work on this punk. Oh, we put them out there. We've dedicated this channel to outing the criminals. That's what we do on JLR Investigate. So what we do on this channel moving forward, when we talk about true crime, is we'll get the mugshot of the defendant, and we'll just sit here and talk about the defendant's mugshot and talk about the defendant and make them famous on YouTube. We'll make them famous on YouTube. So while you watch, you help contribute to the cause of getting these people out there. We got to get these faces out there because it also puts pressure on DAs and police to hold these people accountable and stop giving these people slaps on the wrist. Because when we cover true crime, usually on JLR Investigates, usually 90% of the time, I'd say 90% of the time, occasionally it doesn't, but usually the perpetrators that do these horrific acts have extensive criminal records. They've been in trouble before with the law. They don't learn their lesson. And I am 100% proponent of people that make mistakes and do bad things in life, but redeem themselves and actually make a better difference in the world and use their mistakes and use it as a learning lesson and move on and try to do better, live productively, responsibly. But it seems like case after case after case after case, when it comes to these criminals, they keep getting arrested over and over and over and over and over again. Look at this guy. Mark Milton Ball. That's his name. Same guy. Fugitive. Texas. Harris County. So he had a fugitive. He had a fugitive case. Fugitive. Here's another one. Mark Milton Ball. Florida Department of Corrections. Absconding. Oh, he absconded. He absconded. He's an absconder. He's an absconder. Well, what sucks is you got people like the person in New York that got arrested the other day. Had like 52 freaking arrests. 52 freaking arrests. These violent criminals that are out on the streets, and then these violent criminals that are out on the streets or habitual criminals that lurk and continue to do disruptive things and criminal. Now, it's not. Here's the problem with them. It's the reason why these people keep getting slaps on the wrist is because these cities. One, they flop around from state to state. And actually, believe it or not, when it comes to criminal history points and everything like that, I'm going to tell you a little secret you might not have heard on JLR Investigates before, heard out there. A lot of times these criminals, for instance, he could have an extended criminal record. Now, he could be in trouble like we just showed. He could be in trouble in Florida. He could be in trouble in Pennsylvania. He could be in trouble with Texas and have all types of arrests in Texas and all types of arrests around the country and been in and out of prison. But if he goes to another state, like Louisiana. Now, he's been in trouble in Louisiana before, but my point is if he goes to another state and commits a crime, technically that state, when they do the sentencing factor for whatever crime they did, they can't really use the other state convictions against him. They only can use in-state convictions against him, like California 3 strikes. California 3 strikes law. Yeah, it's 3 strikes, but it's 3 strikes if you commit 3 felonies in California. But you don't fall under 3 strikes if one of the felonies is from another state. Do you get what I'm saying? So a lot of these people Now, some states are different, but most go with the concept as, you're inside that state and, they're judging you based off what you did in that state. Something I noticed. Now, if I'm wrong, explain to me what states do that and don't do that. My point is these criminals do these minor acts, but they're stupid acts, but they're also serious acts, but they just keep getting slaps on the wrist and keep going back, but they continue to do these knucklehead stuff in different jurisdictions, and it really never catches up to them. So they keep getting slaps on the wrist, they keep getting out, and they keep getting out, and they keep getting out. And they never really do significant jail time or prison time. They might do a year or two, and that's it. That's it. And then they get back out on the streets and continue to go on their terroristic tirades and, continue to victimize people and cause havoc. They never learn their lesson. They never learn their lesson. And this guy here being 61 years old should know better. He should know better. No insane-minded individual in their 60s wants to go back to prison. Listen, I went to prison in my 20s. Okay, I missed my entire 20s being in federal prison. I can't take that. I can't get that life back. That was like my golden years. The years I should be going through college, the years I should be getting my feet wet in society and working and having a job and getting a wife and raising some kids and going through that process. I missed that, all right? But, getting out in the 30s, had a few hiccups, eventually redeemed myself, and I can tell you as someone that's been in prison for 20s, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. Why would I want to go back to prison when I'm in my 50s or 60s? No. So I don't even understand, because this guy's going to be surrounded around a bunch of knuckleheads in jail that don't know no better. 18 to 25-year-old kids that just, starting to get in the system and everything like that. And it's a complete mess. You don't want to be in your 60s subjected to yourself. You should be in your 60s having a home, having a job, paying your taxes, living productively, and having being part of society. Instead, this guy is flopping around states. Now he's made his way to New Orleans, and he's making bomb threats. What does that tell you? It really ticks me off, because the taxpayers have to front all this crap. And then they go into the judge, and the judge feels some sort of sympathy for him, whatever like that, and says, okay, well, I'll give you a year or whatever like that. And then they're just back. They con the judge. They sit there and sob story. I have addictions. I struggle. And then these stupid policies in these cities allow these people to get back out relatively quickly without any repercussions. Why don't you just give the guy a 10-piece? Give the guy a 10-piece. Because basically what he did was he caused serious harm and possibly panic throughout New Orleans when they're already going on psychological edge. Got National Guard all over the place. You got the Governor Landry and Cantrell and FBI and Police Chief Kirkpatrick and all them giving press conferences. Joe Biden is visiting the French Quarter today. He'll be there this afternoon. We should cover it here on JLR Investigates whenever he gets there, if he knows how to get there. Biden is going. So it's a big deal, folks. It's a big deal. And this guy wants to sit there and be cute and then just capitalize off the already community on edge by claiming he had a bomb in his possessions. They should throw him the book. Magnolia's like, show the picture of him with the glasses. Yeah, look, this is him. Same guy. 61 years old, Mark Milton. Who do you think you are, Mark Milton? Who do you think you are? I got his charges. Hold on, give me 1 second. So he is, hold on. I gotta edit out his birth date. Give me a second. Give me a second. I'm gonna edit out this guy's birth date. Redact, just to play safe on YouTube. Let's redact. Hold on, give me 1 second. Because he's being held on a threatening communications charge here. Let me go here. Date of birth. Okay, yeah. All right, so here we go. We edited out there. Here we go. All right, so this is his charge. Right here. Hello, everyone. JLR Investigates. He's booked. 1/4/2025, 2137 hours. Communications false, arson, theft. Oh, and imagine that. Imagine that. And see, here's another thing too. $2,500 bond. $2,500 bond. So everybody wants to know why New Orleans is a mess. Why criminals run amok in New Orleans. Why all these shootings and violence in New Orleans. Well, here's what happens in New Orleans. You can have an extensive criminal record. You can be in trouble in states all around the country for burglaries, thefts, fleeing, and mischief, and all this stuff. You can go into New Orleans after this is what New Orleans is saying, folks. You go into New Orleans afterward, and after this terrible, terrible tragedy that happened on New Year's, this guy can just go in there and say, hey, there's a bomb in my bag. He gets arrested, and the judge sets bond at $2,500. That's it. And everyone wants to know why this country's a mess. This is why the country's a mess. Because no one's ever held accountable. Ever. No one is ever held accountable. Some states you are. Some states, tough on crime. I'm a tough on crime type of guy. I'm a proponent in tough sentencing for people that don't get it together. People that do the egregious things. I'm also a common sense type of guy too. Empty the prisons for the non-violent offenders, the ones that have drug addictions, and put the prisons and fill them up with people like this that haven't learned their lesson. It's crazy in this world considering the federal sentencing guidelines and the draconian sentencing guidelines, which Joe Biden was an architect of. And we won't even get into that in the 90s when they mass incarcerated tens and tens of thousands of African-American men that are sitting in federal prison on non-violent first-time drug charges because of these draconian federal sentencing guidelines. The whole system is backwards. Meanwhile, you got all types of real threats out there. I don't believe people should be incarcerated for drug addiction. I do believe people should be incarcerated for drug dealing, and the drug dealers should be held accountable to the full extent of the law. But drug people that have addictions, petty criminals, no, they should not be in prison. These are the type of people that should be in prison. $2,500 basically is he shuts down Canal Street in that area for hours on Saturday, and nothing happens except he goes to jail and he gets a $2,500 bail. You know what that means? That means to me they might be playing 10%. You know what that means? A cool $250 gets this creep back out on the streets. $250. That's the going rate. Slap on the wrist. And New Orleans will probably say, our jails are full, and then at the same time, you have the police chief toting around that crime is down and we're doing a great and phenomenal job in the state of Louisiana and we do great and all this blah, 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 blah. So we're going to keep our eyes on this particular case, talk about this guy, and I'll come back and circle back to this guy when Magnolia comes in the chat. We're going to talk about the next guy. Right here. We're going to talk about the next guy, the CIA operative, the wannabe CIA operative. Let me turn the volume down here. My volume is on. Boom. All right. So this guy here, Florida, fake CIA operative. What did this guy do? Well, Florida man arrested for impersonating a CIA operative found with a trove of weapons in his car. According to an arrest report, HVAC contractor George Alberto Afonso, identified as a federal agent, provided a CIA counterterrorism unit ID coined in a badge wallet and an MI6 ID. Stolen valor. Look, this is the article. This is what we're going to read, folks. This is what we're going to read right here. Florida man arrested for impersonating a CIA operative. But it's scary, folks, because I'm going to tell you what is on our streets in Florida. I'm going to show you what is on our streets. Yeah, another winner. No, but look at this. Look what they found in this guy's car. Let me show you a image here. This is Scary. This is scary. This is what they found on this guy's possession, in his car, in his vehicle. You tell me if this is normal, folks. You tell me if this is normal. You tell me if this is normal. Passports, IDs, Interpol's badges, weapons. What in the world is going on here? This guy claims he's CIA, MI6, and gets arrested. That's what I'm saying, folks. What? This is not normal. Who is this guy? Who in the world is this guy? Who in the world is this guy? That's not normal. Sorry, folks. This guy needs to be questioned and indicted by the FBI because he's up to no good. An HVAC contractor in South Florida is facing felony charges after identifying himself as a CIA operative to police, who saw through the ruse and seized a trove of guns, drugs, bulletproof vests, and bogus federal credentials from the man's pickup truck, which was outfitted to look like a law enforcement vehicle. George Alberto Afonso, 61. Oh, he's the same age as this guy. He's the same age as the bomber. 61. Oh, two guys arrested for some egregious things in the national. Well, this is not getting much national news. Hopefully we can make this go viral on JLR Investigate. This guy, 61 years old, an HVAC contractor. He was driving, now think about this. Think about this, folks. He was driving a white Ford F-150 pickup truck on New Year's Day. Huh? Who else was driving a pickup truck on New Year's Day? Who else was driving a pickup truck on New Year's Day? He was driving a white Ford F-150 on New Year's Day. And then he had the red and blue emergency light flashing when he was spotted by the Florida Highway Patrol. Although the truck at first glance looked quasi-official, a trooper monitoring traffic from the median of I-75 became suspicious upon spotting a woman in the front seat, waving her arms, appearing under duress. It states the trooper pulled over the truck and was explaining the reason for the stop when Alfonso interrupted, claiming his canine seat in the back accidentally activated. His canine, because he had a dog on him, seated in the back, accidentally interrupted his blue lights. According to the arrest report, Alfonso identified himself as a federal agent providing a CIA counterterrorism unit ID and an MI6 ID, referring to the UK's Foreign Intelligence Service. Apparently confused by the unauthorized array of documentation, the trooper asked Alfonso for his specific affiliation, in which Alfonso replied, federal. This is the vehicle here that they're showing. Look, he's running around in a pickup truck similar to the truck that the New Orleans guy was using, right? Flashing lights, woman in the car under duress. This is scary stuff. These are the people that roam our streets, folks. This is not normal. I'm sorry. This is not normal. This is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. Sorry. This is not acceptable. The trooper took a closer look at the IDs he handed over and immediately became skeptical. For starters, Alfonso was wearing a skull cap in the ID photos, which the trooper knew were prohibited for law enforcement IDs. It contends further, the format and design of the IDs didn't match known federal standards and issued a badge and challenged the coin that he had. Based on the fraudulent IDs, emergency lights in the personnel vehicle, and George's inability to verify his agency, I arrested him for impersonating a law enforcement officer. During the follow-up inspection of his truck, which was impounded, troopers found at least a half dozen firearms, assorted passports, including blank ones, federal agency badges, bulletproof vest, money, jewelry, pills, according to the report. Who are these people roaming our streets? Florida. You know this guy? An HVAC contractor, Alfonso. So we got this guy. We got the New Orleans bomber. Who else do we got? Well, we got another case that people are not talking about, which I feel is a very serious issue. And we'll just use this photo here. This is a mystery person. Why am I showing a mystery person? Well, a couple days ago, they're not even identifying the person on this particular case. A couple days ago, New Jersey Transit Police find guns in an unattended bag at Penn Station and arrest an individual on his way to Virginia with guns. But they don't share who it is. Who is it? Man found with 3 handguns, 2 rifles in custody after New Jersey Transit Police find guns at Newark Penn Station. Now we got terrorists traveling around on the Amtrak. Actually, I have a clip on this one. Let me just play this real quick. Let's play this and then we'll further discuss. I got a clip on this one. Lack of information out there on all these incidents that are going on. Lack of information.
Jackie, of course, still an ongoing investigation. Police are still trying to figure out exactly what happened here. But back at the transit center here in Trenton, things are slowly getting back to normal. But earlier today, like you said, cops had to stop a guy with a whole bunch of guns. An obvious security presence outside the Trenton Transit Center. It was much of the same inside tonight as officers kept a close eye on travelers. Hours earlier, investigators say they stopped a man on a train here on his way to Virginia. Authorities tell us he had handguns and rifles on him. He resisted arrest, according to police, but was eventually taken into custody.
It's becoming a crisis throughout the whole world.
The story ended in Trenton, but investigators say it all started at the Penn Station in Newark around 3 this afternoon. That's when someone spotted an unattended bag. We're told officers discovered a handgun and rifle inside. Investigators say they soon found out the man bought a ticket to Virginia and was on a train making its way through Trenton. Travelers learning about the incident say they won't be scared away.
I feel safe because I have no control over what happens to so I have to prepare myself for the worst of time.
Scary.
And we're told that police did sweep and clear that train. That is the good news. Right now, tonight, police are not talking about a motive or why that guy had all those guns. For now, we're live in Trenton, Aaron Baskerville, NBC 10 News.
It's not only that, folks, but they don't even release the name of the suspect. So there's someone that was taken into custody. We don't know race, religion, creed. We don't know who it is. And days later, this happened just after New Year's. Actually, this happened Friday afternoon. A mystery man arrested after leaving an unattended bag at Penn Station full of weapons. He boarded a train, an Amtrak, was on his way to Virginia. Was he on his way to Washington, D.C.? Where was he going? And he gets arrested. But yet, we don't know anything about it. They're keeping his name a complete secret. As soon as his name comes out, we will share who he is on JLR Investigates. So we got this guy. We got the CIA operative guy, Mr. Alfonso, right? Alfonso, Florida. Bunch of weapons in his vehicle. We got this guy. We'll use this photo. The professional, the bomb threat guy. 61 years old, Mark Ball. Arrested for making a bomb threat in the French Quarter. What else can go wrong out there, right? We got New Orleans, we got New Jersey with guns on a train, we got someone pulled over in a fake law enforcement vehicle in Florida here with a bunch of weapons. What else could go wrong, folks? What else is going on? Well, there's more. There's a lot more. There's a lot more. So we're going to talk about these two chuckleheads. These two chuckleheads. Because while all this stuff is going on around the country, you got these individuals here. 3 Albuquerque teens, and one's on the run, so it's only 2 been arrested. 3 Albuquerque teens arrested for allegedly planning a shooting plot. Very limited information, grainy photos, black and white photos. I never understand mugshots nowadays in this era that are all grainy or in black and white. 3 Albuquerque teens are facing charges after a Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office said they made threats to carry out a shooting. What type of shooting? They don't explain what type of shooting. All they explain is 3 teens. They went to one of their homes. They found a stolen gun and 250 rounds of ammo and cash. But we don't have any other information about exactly what they planned to do. They were talking in Telegram. They were talking in Telegram about a specific plot. Albuquerque, school, building, grocery store, what? Mall? Who are these kids? What's their names, by the way? Let me see if I can get their names. Oh, yeah, I got their names. Ricardo Murillo. Ricardo, 19-year-old. Ricardo Lopez Murillo, and 18-year-old Manuel Lopez. Who are they? Who are these people? Who are these people? Does anyone know? Do you recognize these people? Wild stuff, folks. I mean, come on. Like, can we have some peace and quiet? Can we have just some normalcy out there? But this is showing you once again, folks, that evil lurks and exists out there. And it's all over this country. People are getting arrested for plots and or having weapons or bomb threats. Crazy stuff. I must share a news clip going on in Portland, Oregon, because the FBI is warning that something could happen in Portland similar to what happened in New Orleans. It's upticking, folks. For them to say crime is down is absolutely ludicrous.
Tonight, local law enforcement agencies are on heightened alert. The FBI warning agencies about the potential for copycats who might try to mimic the horrible attack in New Orleans. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight at 11. I'm Barry Mangold. Tonight, how local agencies and the public are responding to that general warning from the FBI and what it means for one of Portland's major league stadiums. Let's get straight to K2's Victor Park, who joins us live downtown with those details. Victor?
Yeah, Barry, a orchestra concert featuring Harry Potter music just wrapped up here at Schnitzer Hall, and people we spoke to say they are on heightened alert, and so is law enforcement following that terrorist attack in New Orleans. It's a busy Friday night in downtown Portland as many people go out to eat or watch a concert at the Schnitzer Hall.
I'm scared, but you can't live your life being scared.
But just days after the terror attack in New Orleans, some are on edge.
I told her as we were driving up here that, something could happen, and you just got to be prepared for it.
I think at this point, it's just one of those things where you don't know what can happen. You may or may not go home, and that's such a scary thing.
The FBI Portland office tells K2 the U.S. remains in a heightened threat environment and watchful for potential threats to public safety, and we will work with our partners to determine their credibility, share information, and take appropriate investigative action. ABC News has learned that the FBI and Department of Homeland Security sent out a joint intelligence bulletin warning the nation's law enforcement agencies about the potential for copycats who might try to mimic the attack in New Orleans.
The people that
guy hit by this car. Police say the suspect was inspired by ISIS. Sources tell ABC News in recent months, ISIS has ramped up calls for mortar vehicle attacks and other low technology but deadly efficient ways of killing victims en masse. Police are given tips in the bulletin on what to look out for, including pre-operational surveillance and use of a fraudulent ID and credit to rent vehicles as potential signs of upcoming attacks.
I think it's definitely a big concern.
Most local law enforcement agencies K2 reached out to refused to comment, but Portland Timbers, who plays at the Providence Park and can hold more than 25,000 people, gave us a statement which reads in part, "We utilize a vehicle mitigation system that includes permanent bollards, road closures, and parking restrictions. There are no events scheduled at the stadium this month, and although concerns of a copycat attack are on some minds, most refuse to let that get in the way of their plans."
Gotta keep going and try to push through and just stay as safe as we can and try to just keep living.
And by the way, a senior law enforcement official tells ABC News that so far there are no signs of ISIS claiming responsibility for the New Orleans attack. We do have the FBI's full statement and the Timbers full statement on our website, KATU.com. We're live here in downtown Portland. I'm Victor Park, K2 News.
All right, Victor Park, good information. Thank you.
So they said basically the FBI is sending out alerts. Sending out alerts. But it's not just alerts going to cities too. Military bases around the country are on a heightened state of alert. I'm going to show you what's going on. For instance, they're saying here, military bases have now amped up their security. And I tweeted this out by retweeting Camp Pendleton. Camp Pendleton, it says, Base Access Advisory. Command Northcom has directed all military institutions to implement heightened security members at all gate entries to include 100% ID checks, random inspections, and the suspension of the Trusted Traveler program until further notice. And these are happening at bases. They put out alerts. So while all these terrorist attacks and threats have been going on, now they are warning military bases, and this was something that they were that's circulating online, exactly what they're doing at military bases. And it says urgent security update. In response to terrorist attacks in New Orleans and Las Vegas, the commander of U.S. Northern Command has directed all military institutions to immediately implement heightened security measures. These include 100% ID checks, random inspections, suspension of the Trusted Traveler program. I do not know what the Trusted Traveler program was. A procedure that allowed DoD-affiliated sponsors to vouch for the vehicle occupants to gain entry onto the installation. So they're basically suspending the Trusted Traveler program. Trusted Traveler program. Drivers should expect delays and random inspections at entry gates as we enhance the security posture of our installation to ensure our ability to project combat power when required. So there you go. This is a crucial step in ensuring the security and readiness of our installations. Drivers should expect delays at entry gates due to increased inspections. Okay. Also, folks, we have the National Guard that was deployed to Washington, D.C. to handle this stuff. There's a lot going on. A lot going on. Now, I'm going to bring Magnolia in the chat because we're going to have a conversation about these two individuals. We're going to have these two individuals we're going to talk about because Magnolia wants to share some stuff that makes us go, Come on in the chat, Magnolia. We're giving her a call. Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone had a very safe weekend. January 6th, 2025. A lot of snow out there, folks. A lot of snow out there. Come on in the chat. Got myself a fresh cup of coffee. 11:14 a.m. Eastern. Hello, Magnolia.
morning, everybody.
Good morning. So I have these two photos of these chuckleheads up, right? But let's go back first on these individuals that I shared before you came on. These individuals that had weapons. This guy here, the bomb threat guy. This guy here, the guy that was a fake CIA operative. These school shooters, possibly suspects in terror threats all over the country. What's your take on all of this? Or anyone in particular that I shared? Did anyone stick out or stand out of all of them?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you talked about with Mark Ball, the one who made the bomb threat in French Quarter, and you showed that he's already out. You know, he got $2,500 bail or something like that. But we looked at him last night, and we found criminal records of him all over the place. Like, he has mugshots all over creation. And it's like you said, it's just, you know, he's never really held accountable or kept locked up off the street. So he just continues to do this. And that seems to be the pattern with a lot of these guys. They're career criminals. I think these guys are different than the actual terrorists that we saw last week. I think these guys are more like, you know, maybe he's just trying to, somebody in the chat said maybe he wants to be in jail because he's institutionalized. So maybe he just saw an opportunity here because they're already in a heightened state of alert, and he thinks he's going to be cute and make a bomb threat. And he got locked up. So, you know, we had arrest records of him from Florida, Pennsylvania. Didn't you say Texas too?
Yeah, it's apparently he has a fugitive warrant.
Louisiana.
And Louisiana, too. He's been arrested, and now Louisiana again.
Yeah. So I do want to address one thing, though, before we continue with this live. So Justin Trudeau is stepping down right now as the Prime Minister of Canada. Apparently, this is happening live as we speak. So I did want to acknowledge that's happening right now. Also on this day, today's January 6th, we have the certification of the election coming up in a few hours. But so far, it seems like things are okay in D.C. It doesn't look like they got as much snow as they thought they might get. Over a foot of snow, but it looks like it's about 6 inches now. So, so far so good in DC today. But yeah, it's really, really, in my opinion, it's massive news that Justin Trudeau is stepping down.
Why? Why is it massive news?
He's been in power for about 10 years, I believe. So this is a big change, and will impact world politics for sure.
Well, so, I mean, why do you think he resigned? Really, because they're saying that he had no chance to be reelected?
Yeah, I mean, it's a longer conversation for probably another day, another time. But essentially, what it looks like, you know, in Canada, it's not news that they've had a lot of problems, also with mass migration, the housing crisis, inflation, you know, and he's lost the support of the Canadian people, and he's also lost support of his own party. And he's like down 25 points in polling going into 2025, and so his party does not believe that he can win the next election, and they would like the opportunity to have someone new, and that's what's happening.
So he's resigning today. So he's resigning now. They said by Wednesday, so it's now.
Apparently, he is doing it live as we speak.
Interesting. So yeah, there's a lot of talk about a lot of the truck drivers. Don't forget the truck drivers and the you know, the anti-mandate people that really went against him too. A lot of people were mad at him for what happened in 2020 and haven't forgiven.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the things that is being pointed to as, you know, contributing to his loss of support of the Canadian people. Just the way that he handled that situation with the truckers and COVID in general. But it's not just that, you know, it's honestly just years of failed policies, and he is bearing the brunt, even though, his party obviously helped him implement all of those policies. The policies have failed, and so he's bearing the brunt because he's the leader. So he is resigning right now.
For us, covering the northern border, the Swanton sector, it'd be interesting to see what happens with the border moving forward after January 20th, how that border will be secured. Security on the border. There's no wall up there. It's just a bunch of woods and forest up there, very remote. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the border for us, because we've been up there covering and seeing people firsthand cross right through the woods and surrendering themselves to Border Patrol. They're coming in from Montreal. Wonder what happens with that.
Well, I mean, he did recently say that they were going to basically end their migration programs and beef up security along the border. So I think that those new policies are already being implemented. So, it's like America. America was overtaken by the open border. Not overtaken, but you know what I mean. The border was flooded with millions and millions of migrants. And the same thing happened in Canada. It was actually a lot more intentional, the way they did it in Canada, where they brought in people intentionally for different reasons. So, they've already kind of changed some of the policies a month ago. I guess that was his Hail Mary, maybe, trying to right the ship or whatever. But, they've been calling, his own party has been calling for him to resign since at least October. So here we go.
Here we go. So he'll be forgotten in the next day or two. He'll be forgotten. He'll be forgotten right off in the sunset. Everybody's going to, a lot of people Magnolia on Twitter. Now, I don't know if if this will ever be reality. And we're off topic a minute, but we're just talking about Canada and U.S. I mean, there's a lot of talk about Canada becoming the 51st state of the United States and Trump's intention to merge Canada with the United States and buy Greenland and overtake the Panama Canal and take half of Mexico and create some sort of North American type of union. Do you see that happening? Canada being the 51st state or part of the United States?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that. I think in one respect, if that did happen, you would be able to have a more cohesive immigration policies and things like that. A lot of the issues that we have in America are because, Canada doesn't have very strong immigration policies. They're pretty lax. And so I guess in that way you'd be able to have better security and things like that. But I mean, that's just something I'm not even prepared to speculate on. I know that's what Trump has said, but I don't know. Remember
we went up into northern Vermont and we went to that small community and it had that house right on the border for sale, and it literally was on the border. And there was it was separating between this guy's yard, house for sale. It was an old Victorian house, and they wanted like $300,000 for it or whatever like that. It was like 4,000 square feet. It was nice, but it was literally the house was like right on the border, and it was separated by little bricks. Mm-hmm. It was so interesting, and I was like, yeah, we should buy that house and have on the border and live on the border.
Yeah,
we could watch people cross through and document and stop them. Or
that was a cute house. Yeah.
So, one day maybe the borders will be wide open between both countries because they'll be in some sort of alliance. So, we'll see on that aspect. So, going back to the topic, subject matter, I'll take us back to Mr. Ball here, whoever you want to talk about within these groups of misfits that we've been discussing. Or do you want to start with the this PSYOPs type of stuff that's being circulated out on the two other guys that are involved in this New Year's stuff? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, so regarding the terrorists from last week, so talking about Shamsud-Din and Matthew Livelsberger. So these two people, I think we've already talked about the fact that they both were stationed at Fort Bragg. I don't think they were there at the same time. It was different times that they were there. And it does sound as if they were both deployed in Afghanistan at the same time, although not working together, allegedly. But apparently they were both in Afghanistan at the same time. So that's one thing. Now, but what I want to talk about, though, is this Fort Bragg connection, because we've talked about that for several days now. And I came across some information last night on Fort Bragg, and I'm sure people in the chat already know this, but I just learned it last night, and I kind of was reading up on it. So apparently Fort Bragg, specifically, they have a program that's called the 4th Psychological Operations Group, and it's a unit that conducts influence activities to target psychological vulnerabilities with their adversaries. And so this is a program that is at Fort Bragg, and people go through the program, and basically what it is they're being trained to actually do PSYOPs. And the training is kind of geared towards doing these like psychological operations against adversaries. So basically you're identifying where they might have a psychological vulnerability, and you create a plan or an operation to exploit that. And so this is like a very intensive program. So they go through a 10-day assessment, and then they're put through 41 weeks of physically and mentally demanding training. And it's literally called the PSYOP qualification course. And in the last few months of their training, they basically, they write reports, they write up plans, they make like op plans they come up with these ideas. It's like they're brainstorming, they come up with different plans and of how they can use this training to, do harm on their opponents. So this is like a very intensive program, and it's characterized as a grueling program. And we know that Matthew Livelsberger in particular was in special ops. So now what they're doing is they're looking for, now not all the soldiers make it through this training, by the way. Throughout the training, they do different assessments, and only certain people make it through. But the Master Sergeant Matthews is the non-commissioned officer who's in charge of the assessment and selection. And he said, we're looking for soldiers who are adept at conducting research to understand target audiences. We look for soldiers to use critical thinking to determine the best methods and arguments to influence and effectively communicate verbally and in writing using multimedia. They craft narratives, they present arguments, and they simulate real-world PSYOP tasks. So this is a program that these people are going through. Now, I don't know how much of this program these two guys participated in, but basically what the attacks that they did, the attack that both of them did, it was much different methods the way they carried out. Obviously, the guy in New Orleans used a truck to mow people down. The guy in Vegas used a Cybertruck and only killed himself. But in both cases, a lot of people look at this, and we look at a lot of world events, and a lot of people instantly say, PSYOP, that's a PSYOP, it's a PSYOP, right? We hear that every time.
Yes.
So it does seem like these particular officers or these particular soldiers have this type of training, and it's almost like, to me, that they're going rogue in a way. Like, the training is supposed to be to do harm on your enemies, not your own country. And it just seems like at some point along the way, they're getting turned. They're turning on America. They're turning on our patriotic beliefs and things like that. And now we know the guy, Shamsud-Din, he actually did convert to Islam. So I just think it's interesting. Now, here's another thing, just to go along with this, that I saw last night that absolutely boggles my mind. And I know everyone in the chat's going to freak out when I say this. So recently, we have had 5 different individuals that have made the news for some type of terror attack, assassination attempt. I'm going to go down the list. Number 1. Now, all 5 of these have something incredible that's in common. Number 1, Thomas Crooks, attempted assassination of Trump. Number 2, Ryan Ruth, also an attempted assassination of Trump. Number 3, Talib, I can't pronounce his last name. He's the Christmas market guy that we just saw. Number 4, we have a teen over in the UK that committed the mass stabbing at the Taylor Swift dance party. Number 5, Matthew Livelsberger. Okay, so all 5 of these people have one major thing in common. They all participated in some type of TV commercial or TV show. Thomas Crooks, BlackRock commercial while he was in high school. Ryan Ruth, he did a propaganda video for the Azov Battalion, Ukraine. Number 3, Talib, the Christmas market guy. He appeared on the BBC back in 2019. Number 4, the Taylor Swift dance party stabber, terrorist. He was on a show, an ad in the BBC for children in need. Number 5, bomber Matthew Livelsberger participated in a TV special on the History Channel.
He did. It's weird, Magnolia. That's just bizarre that some of these people prior to committing their acts, they're involved with these like TV series or featured. It's weird.
It's so bizarre because I asked you last night, I said, how many people do you know that have been in a commercial or a TV show?
And I said,
and I'll ask everyone in the chat, how many people in your life do you know personally that have been in a TV show or a commercial?
Myself.
It's probably not that many. You said 0.
Well, myself.
Right.
0.
Well, yeah, you said you don't know anyone. I know a couple people. My niece does commercials and ads for Walmart, but it's not like a TV show. It's not like a propaganda ad. So yeah, people like this that have been on shows like this, I would say I don't know anybody. And yet here we have 5 terrorists who all have this in common. So I was kind of reading through all this, and I was just blown away by this. We kind of knew this. We kind of knew it, but I didn't know about the 2 guys in the BBC. That was new to me. But we knew about the BlackRock. We knew about Ryan Ruth and his Ukraine activism, and then this clip came out the other day of Livelsberger on the History Channel. But when you put it all together, that is just an astounding coincidence. It really is. And so there really must be something to this. And somebody in the comment thread I was reading last night suggested that maybe they specifically target people who like fame. People who are drawn to fame and attention and things like that. Because not everyone's like that. Not everyone wants to be famous.
Well, even with him, he's making videos about promoting the real estate company that he's involved with, and promoting it. Like he put himself out there too in his own videos, promoting a real estate company and, himself. Um, Magnolia, are we talking about, is this similar to MK Ultra? Mind control?
Well, that's where the questions are coming in here, because how do you explain that all of these people have this thing in common? Because these are not like I said to you, like my niece does ads and stuff for Walmart. She does like print ads and she does commercials for like doctors' offices or whatever. But she's never done anything like government propaganda videos or anything like that, you know. So it's just bizarre. It's so bizarre. And then you look at the connections between the two terrorists from last week, both having been stationed at Fort Bragg, where they run these PSYOP programs. You know, basically what they're doing is those programs, they're weaponizing mass, mass formation, like mass, what happened in 2020 with COVID. That was like a mass, they called it a mass psychosis or something like that. So basically what they're doing is they're trying to, they have some sort of message that they want to send. And, you know, in Livelsberger's case, he wanted to send a message about our country and the state of our country and our leaders. And he wanted to absolve himself of the death caused by what he did in the military. And then, you know, the guy in New Orleans, he had a message. All these people have a message. So in the Fort Bragg program, what they do is they train people on how to weaponize their message and amplify it to a target. And so they're trained on how to do this. And, you know, what was interesting with Shamsud-Din in particular, based on what we know with the videos that he recorded and some of the things he said, he literally said he originally planned a fake celebration where he would invite his whole family. And he was going to kill his whole family. But then he decided that would not be good enough to get his message out to the masses. And so he changed course. He chose this different plan. So he's literally planning a PSYOP. That's what he did. He wanted to plan something that would reach as many people as possible. Yeah, mass formation psychosis, Kathy Sue. Yeah. So that's what they're doing. So a lot of times, you know, and just look at the drone situation that we endured last month. That's another example. It's, you know, people naturally have a fear of unknown flying objects in the sky, right? So how do you weaponize that fear? Well, you put a whole bunch of drones in the sky and you have the government say, "Whoa, we don't know what that is." So everyone's freaking out, everyone's panicking, everyone's running around taking videos of every little light they see in the sky. That's another example. It's like you kind of prey on people's natural feelings already. And so with Matthew Livelsberger, there's already this sentiment in America against the rich, against the 1%, against the people who are in charge of everything. You know what I mean? So it looks like they're being trained to do these type of operations, and then somewhere along the way they're getting turned.
Yeah, so Fox News actually released they actually obtained both these individuals' military records via the Freedom of Information Act. And it says newly released military documents regarding New Year's Day attackers Livelsberger and Jabbar show that while both were stationed at then Fort Bragg and deployed to Afghanistan, they never served together, though. So they're saying that they both served at different, he was a human resource specialist. But you know, it does trace it back to Fort Bragg, though. You know, and it goes into this unit that you've been explaining. And it just because they didn't, you know, deploy together doesn't mean that they both went through this same unit and learned some stuff through this unit and then just branched off separately. Is that a possibility?
Well, yeah. So there's an age difference between these guys.
It's about 5 years, right? 5 years? One's 37, one was 42, right?
Yeah, I think so. And so it sounds like they went through Fort Bragg at different times. However, they were, according to the military records you were just talking about, they were in Afghanistan at the same time.
At the same time.
What the military says with the military records, they're saying that they served in different units, different capacities. But that doesn't really mean anything to me. That doesn't mean that they didn't see each other, know each other, interact in some way while they were there. So if they're both in Afghanistan at the same time, it's reasonable to believe that they may have come into contact with each other at some point, whether they're in the same unit or not. So I think that that's an interesting thing with Afghanistan in particular. And then, we also have the trip to Egypt.
Yes, for him.
Egypt is the headquarters of the Muslim Brotherhood. So police are looking into who did Shamsud-Din meet up with when he was in Egypt, and hopefully get answers. But honestly, I doubt that we'll ever hear the full truth on any of this.
Probably classified, unless, they bring in the military into Congress and explain, but it's probably going to be classified. The point is, I don't feel like it was coincidental that two people once stationed at Fort Bragg do major attacks on this country New Year's Day. Pretty extensive damage here to start the new year, and they both have, circle back to Fort Bragg. Both of them.
Right.
Plus, 6 months prior with Ryan Ruth, the other chucklehead from South Florida.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention him. Yeah, his connection to he's also got a connection to Fort Bragg. Don't let me forget that. They said that he visited Fort Bragg something like 120 times.
Over 100 times.
What in the world was he doing there?
You tell me. I don't know. And he's involved with recruiting troops to go to Ukraine, recruiting people to go to Ukraine to fight.
Yeah,
it's another one. It's just three major events that happened within 6 months of another, and it all centers back to Fort Bragg.
No, here it is. He said there's reports that through his cell phone, laptop, and GPS data going back 4 years, Ryan Ruth visited Fort Bragg 147 times, staying overnight on 29 occasions.
For what?
Well, we don't know. I mean, that's all the info we have so far. Of course, the authorities are not coming out and saying anything about it, but what in the world is he doing at Fort Bragg 147 times, staying overnight 29 times? Like, what is that about? In the last 4 years. This says in the last 4 years. That is extreme. So we talked about him, at the time, and we kind of went through all of the stuff he was involved in. He was, we saw videos of him out there trying to recruit basically volunteers to go fight in Ukraine, and he had this whole little thing he was doing, and it seems as though the people in Ukraine didn't really take him seriously. They sort of blew him off, and it was almost like he was LARPing in a way. That's kind of how it seemed at the time. And, but now it's like, is there more to this? Because why would he be going? He's not in the military, is he? Was he in the military?
I can't
Why would
answer
he be
that.
at Fort Bragg 147 times in the last 4 years? So, yeah, that's just another connection. And the authorities haven't even really mentioned that. But with these two from last week, there are glaring similarities. They both rented their vehicles from Toro. They both were stationed at Fort Bragg at one time. They were in Afghanistan at the same time. So there are these obvious similarities, and yet the authorities are saying it's just a coincidence. These are just all coincidences. It's just all a coincidence that all five of these people, I guess it's just a wild coincidence that all five of these people participated in propaganda videos.
So moving forward, our best bet is just to keep, like for instance, this guy, the CIA, the fake badges. Who knows? Maybe he went to Fort Bragg at one point. Maybe authorities might be when we hear about these arrests for bomb threats and bunch of weapons and stuff like that. Maybe it was the beginning of a planning stage of doing something something else that they intercepted. We just moving forward have to see who's involved with Fort Bragg, or see if there's a connection going back to Fort Bragg or any military base with these people moving forward, because it's so weird that in this era, with terrorism over the years, and our country has been subjected to terrorism for a long, long time. There's been crazy acts. But these major incidents that happen in this country just in the last 6 months center around military veterans that are committing these acts on our soil.
Yeah, and just to touch on the email, the Sean Ryan show, Bone Jones pointed out something to keep in mind about Sean Ryan. He's a CIA contractor and Green Beret. Green Berets are known for working with the CIA in covert operations. So a lot of people think that email is just part of the game here, because we talked about that email. You thought the email was completely bogus from the jump, but right away you were like, this is fake, this is not, and so we talked about that email quite a bit. And I also talked about the fact that the email itself it's in stark contrast to the other writings that law enforcement released saying that he wrote. They were totally different messages, totally different sentiments. That's what stood out to me. You have in the email, he's talking about drones and war crimes, and then in his other writings, he's talking about absolving himself of guilt and the way our country is lost and different things like that. So it was as if they were written by totally different people, or he could have just been crazy, and maybe that's an explanation. But it's very peculiar. The email, all of that is very strange. I think everyone agrees that whole situation is bizarre. So yeah, people are asking a lot of questions.
Oh, Magnolia, don't forget, we also have to add this guy to the mix, the guy that got arrested, the soldier here, that got arrested for the hacking too. So he's another one in the mix too. Strange case, hacking into the phones of Trump and Kamala Harris. So, he's also, has fingerprints into the military too. He is a military. So
I wonder if he ever did any BlackRock commercials or anything.
Yeah, Wag Genius. That's his last name and stuff. He's being extradited to Seattle to face federal charges for hacking into Trump's phone and Kamala's phone and working with cyber hackers from around the globe. It's just strange stuff. Like what can the military do to is the military creating the Dr. Jekyll Hyde type, the military creating these misfits, or what? Are they training these people and they're using their training against us? Against America?
Well, something has clearly gone very wrong here. Because you can't, how do you have these soldiers? And by the way, Shamsud-Din in particular, I know, and also Livelsberger, if you listen to people who served with them, people who knew them, they were basically known as the poster child of American patriotism, of a patriotic soldier. That is how both of these men have been described. In fact, the guy who was on the History Channel show with Matthew he literally said he was everything you would want in a Green Beret. He was everything you would expect from a Green Beret. Just the, just the shining example of Green Berets. That's how he was described. And Shamsud-Din as well. He was decorated. He got medals. He even got an award for anti-terrorism stuff. So that's how both these people were described, and that's how they were known. So what in the world happened? What happened?
Do you think?
How did they go from that to being a full-blown terrorist?
Do you think when they get, he was in Germany, they both went to Afghanistan. You think when these soldiers, go get deployed, that some of them get corrupted by local people wherever they go, and they get bribed and influenced and manipulated, or flip the people, like, foreign terrorists flip these individuals, vulnerable people, or or maybe even do it like, remember we just watched that TSA movie last night, and this is the movies, but
Yeah.
you threaten their families and you say you got to do this, or we're going to do this to your family, so and flip these people. Is that a possibility?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I think might be going on here. I hate to keep bringing up the TV show Homeland, but it's if people have watched that show, it's impossible not to see the similarities with a lot of the stuff we're seeing. The entire show, the premise of the whole entire show was a military guy Brody, who was just like I described a minute ago. He was an American patriot. He was deployed. He went overseas. He was deployed, and he was actually captured as a POW. And in the time that he spent as a POW, he was turned by terrorists. So, and he was rescued as a POW, and he came back to America. He was celebrated as a hero, but in secret, he was plotting a terror attack. He was playing the part. He actually became a congressman on the show, but all the while, he was planning to do a terror attack, and that's the whole premise of that show. And so it's really hard not to look at comparisons. What do they say? Art imitates life. Life imitates art. There's no better example than that show when we're talking about this topic. So, there's something had to go wrong, because you don't just go from being an all-American patriot to a terrorist overnight. There has to be something in there where something went south for both of these guys.
I know a lot of people in the chat were wondering about the 17-year-old that was found, or the 17-year-old missing in Henderson. Jennalia Hinn, her body was found. Her family reached out to us. The cousin that we were communicating with confirmed with us, and we're assuming it's her. We think it's her. The cousin, that reached out to us. And also the news report says, body similar to a 17-year-old has been found. So that's a sad story. I just wanted an update on that, because we covered that yesterday. I put out a tweet though, but I didn't put it out on a video, that, she's, it's sad, but no signs of foul play. So I just we don't know much about that, but we will learn a little bit more. And as we learn more, we'll share if we get a confirmation by law enforcement, but I haven't seen a confirmation yet. But the family has reached out to us and said it's her. Sad.
Yeah, and I posted in the chat, I posted our handles on X for people if you're not following us over there. A lot of times we post updates to the stories we cover on X. We haven't done an update video on Jennalia yet, but we're kind of waiting for more information on that. But we did post that update last night. She was found very near where she went missing. Her body was found in the desert. It was pretty close, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a few blocks away from where she went missing.
It was just a few blocks away where she was found. And they're saying that no foul play at this time. So it sounds like it may be a situation of self-harm, which is the word. I mean, I was really hoping she would be found staying with someone in town or something like that. So worst outcome there. But
her dad was a law enforcement. Her dad was a detective or according to payroll records, at least up to last year, a detective with the Las Vegas Police Department. That's a law enforcement daughter.
One thing that's circulating right now, it's rumored that she may have gotten one of her stepdad's guns. So I'll leave it at that.
That's crazy. Going back to these, military and just criminals in general. We got our eyes on this whole situation. We moving forward, just based off, doing our own research and, following what other people put out there and stuff like that. It is very alarming and very concerning here, with the amount of wackadoodles now that are coming out of the woodwork, getting arrested for having weapons, saying things, bomb threats, loads of weapons. We just discussed the guy the other day with 150 IED devices that was found, near Washington, D.C. It's a crazy world. And, moving forward, we're going to see if any of these people have ties to the military. We're going to try to connect the dots here. We're going to try to do more deep dives into these people. It took a long time to find this guy's mugshot or the connection of who this guy was, because the local media there wasn't even putting this guy's photo out there. And we're talking about Mark Ball, the bomb threat.
Right.
We don't know. He might have served in the military himself too. Who knows?
Yeah. I don't know when he would have had time for all that. I think that this guy is sort of, and I would put him like in a different category. I think that a lot of his background, his criminal background, is burglaries, theft, things like that. He's a career criminal. I think that what he did by saying I have a bomb in the French Quarter, I think it was just, he was just trying to pile on to an already terrible situation.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, what's with the sunglasses? Yeah, I don't get that either.
Prescription glasses will allow you a mugshot. If they're prescription, they will let you wear them.
Oh, so you think those could have been prescription?
Well, he could have said they were prescription.
Yeah, I can't think of a mugshot I've seen where they were wearing sunglasses.
No, you're not really allowed this. You're supposed to take out. Well, that's what caught this guy in reference to handing law enforcement CIA badges. He was wearing a hat or some sort of headscarf or something like that in the identifications that he presented to law enforcement when he got pulled over. You can't do that at DMV. You got to take off your hat unless it's like religious wear. But other than that, like hats and scarves and anything, you got to take that off. So that's an indication. Well, just like with mugshots the same way. Usually they make you take off your hat. The only thing you can wear maybe is a Muslim kufi or a yarmulke.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to wear sunglasses at mugshots. Matter of fact, a lot of police departments have policies too, is if you act funny in your mugshot, like you make a funny face or whatever like that, they make you redo.
Oh.
Some people go in there and cover their face or stick their tongue out and act. Well, now sometimes you see these crazy mugshots out there of these wacky people, but usually they'll make you redo. A lot of times when people get their mugshots, they're also under the influence or tweaking or something, because they're just getting arrested, so they're all messed up, and they get dragged in there and they take their fingerprints and then they put you in front of the camera and say cheese, and some people act out. So, they maybe wait for people to sober up and then retake their mugshot.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, this mugshot, I think, was from Pennsylvania. It was Washington County, Pennsylvania, is where he got that particular mugshot.
Oh, there was another case, too, more of explosives found in D.C., but it ended up being nothing of nothing, correct? What was that about? It was also, too, we're just monitoring all these events that are happening around the country when in reference to threats, bomb threats, weapons, everything like that. There was another incident, but they said it was all cleared. Remember that, Magnolia? I'm looking through the chat. Remember, there was. I'm trying to remember if there was an incident in Washington, D.C., and I thought I saw something, but I could be wrong. Am I wrong here, or am I right?
Well, I remember the other day there was the guy who was parked on the sidewalk, or he drove or something like that. We covered that one.
And a lot of times too, see, here's the problem with our society too, is when you have these incidents like these two guys on New Year's, as soon as we get something else, these guys are going to be forgotten. Like, people are there's just so many, you forget. You start forgetting.
Well, they all run together, a lot of them. and these people with the threats and the bombs and the guns, and they it just seems like there's so many of them and they run together. Plus, another issue is a lot of times with these people, they get arrested for these incidents and then we never hear about it again.
Nope. We don't get no information, a lack of information.
We'll probably never hear about Mark Ball again unless we actively seek information.
Or we'll never hear about who this train guy
The
is.
New Jersey one.
Yeah, who's this guy? Because days later, we still don't have a name on this guy.
Right.
Assuming it's a guy, I guess they said a man got arrested.
Well,
but...
and then remember we had the other day, we had the illegal immigrant from Jordan who said he had a bomb in his semi-trailer in South Carolina.
Yeah.
And shut down the whole interstate.
Yeah, that guy too. We did a report. This report here. That guy too. So, that guy, it's just, we don't get information. And that's what sucks too about all this, because, as us being journalists and, whatever you want to, out there, people do research, whatever you do out there, you want to get an understanding of who these people are and get the pieces and get it together and keep your own databases so you can keep eyes out on these people and understand it and stuff and educate people. And they make it harder and harder. Law enforcement sometimes protects these individuals by not putting the information out, or local journalists, I don't know, don't press for the info.
Yeah.
Like, how are you gonna do a bomb threat? How are you gonna do a bomb threat in the French Quarter after this happened and not even show the guy's name or face out there that did this?
Yeah, the one in South Carolina, it was Fitz News actually who took the lead on that story and got the information on the suspect and put it out there at first. So they were the ones really digging, and then we eventually got his name. But that's another case. We'll probably never hear about that guy again either.
Well, there's an ICE detainer on him.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, stay safe out there, my friends. We will continue to keep people informed about these misfits and crazy people out there. And let's hope nothing else happens. Unfortunately, it does. That's what's this world we're living in. We'll continue to cover it. We'll continue to share who these people are. We'll continue to bring stories that media is not talking about. We'll continue to do deep dives. That's what we do on this channel.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Magnolia. Anything else you'd like to add?
Nope, that's it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. All right, folks. January 6th. Let's hope we have a smooth certification of the election today. We pray for peace. We'll continue to monitor what's going on out there. And if anything breaks, you will hear it here on JLR Investigates. Don't be like these people. I know a lot of people in the chat today, so thank you. Thank you. Subs, mods, members. Mods is Magnolia. We have one mod, a great mod. Thank you, Mod Magnolia, the better half for JLR Investigates. It is a new week. Let's have some peace in the week. Let's have some peace in the week. I'm out of coffee, so I'm going to go coffee up. We'll be back in a bit. I think Biden is going to be in the French Quarter. We'll see what's happening there. We'll continue to monitor in D.C. the snow. Looks like the snow has pushed away. Hopefully you're safe out there. There's people trapped out there on the highways. And we'll see what happens in a couple weeks. And I'm sure there'll be at inauguration. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of things in between. All right, folks. We cover true crime 24/7, 365. Reporting from the JLR Command Center, Batcave. Thanks for watching, folks. Thank you for the support. JLR Army, we're getting stronger. Keep us informed. Tips at JLR Investigates. Keep us. We get a lot of stories from everyone. Everyone keeps sending us stories. We love the stories. Keep the stories. We love to hear what's going on. You guys are our eyes and ears out there. A lot of you are all over. Whenever I say, let me just say again, hold on. Before you guys leave, share where you're from. Will show. Share where you're from, because you'll see the list of everyone, and you'll see people from all over the place. You guys are the eyes and ears. You guys are the ones that are, monitor what is going on in your local area, and then a lot of you send us tips. of what's going on so we can cover things that are going on. And it's all over the place. So we got JLR Army eyes in many, many cities, many states, even globally. Even globally. So appreciate all of you. Thanks for watching. See this? It's all over the place. Somebody says they're from Pluto. Pluto. We're on our way to Mars. We'll talk soon. You guys have a great day. Be safe. JLR Investigates. Have a good day, everyone.